Welcome to True Life Lessons, where we explore the profound journeys of the human spirit through stories of wisdom and destiny. In the quiet, rolling hills of Sundapur lived three brothers who shared the same blood but possessed three very different souls. Rohan, James, and Ethan stood at the threshold of adulthood, unaware that their choices would soon define their entire earthly existence. Their lives changed forever when Harish, a wealthy and wise merchant, arrived in their village looking to pass on his legacy. He saw potential in them and decided to grant each brother a generous piece of fertile land and a heavy bag of gold. This was not just a gift of wealth, but a test of character, a challenge to see how they would build their future. He told them that he would return one day to see what they had created, leaving them with absolute freedom to choose. Rohan, the eldest brother, immediately felt the rush of power, believing that this fortune was meant solely for his personal enjoyment. James, however, was gripped by a sudden paralyzing fear, terrified that the world would try to steal his newfound treasure away. Ethan looked at the gold, not as a prize, but as a heavy responsibility, a tool to build something lasting and true. Rohan wasted no time hiring expensive builders to construct a lavish mansion, ignoring the fertile soil that lay waiting outside. He believed that life was short and meant for pleasure, surrounding himself with fair-weather friends who loved his gold, not him. While he feasted, his land remained barren and neglected, the weeds growing taller with every passing day of his endless celebration. James, driven by his deep anxiety, decided that the only safe place for his wealth was deep beneath the cold ground. He buried his future along with the gold, believing that by hiding it, he was protecting himself from the uncertainties of life. He refused to spend a single coin on seeds or tools, paralyzed by the fear that he might lose his investment. Ethan, meanwhile, sat late into the night, carefully planning how to allocate his resources to maximize the potential of his land. He invested wisely in the best seeds and tools, understanding that quality inputs were essential for a bountiful and sustainable harvest. He woke up before dawn every single day, pouring his sweat and energy into the soil, treating his work as worship. Rohan slept until noon, waking up tired and empty, seeking only the next distraction to numb the lack of purpose within. He continued to purchase fleeting luxuries, blind to the reality that his wealth was a finite resource that was rapidly depleting. James watched the seasons change from his window, his life frozen in time, trapped by a mindset of scarcity and fear. He lived in poverty and hunger, guarding a treasure that brought him no joy, no comfort, and absolutely no growth. Ethan remained humble, seeking advice from those who had walked the path before him, constantly learning and improving his methods. Soon the earth responded to his care, and a carpet of vibrant green began to cover the fields he tended so lovingly. Seasons cycled through sun and rain, testing the resilience of the brothers and the choices they had made with their gifts. The day finally came when Rohan reached into his bag and his fingers grasped nothing but empty air and regret. He ran to his friends for help, but they vanished like mist, proving they were only loyal to his gold, not him. His grand mansion began to decay, echoing the emptiness of his life as he sat alone with nothing but his fading memories. James checked his gold and found it safe, yet he had lost his health and his youth guarding a static treasure. His land was as dead as his spirit, a vast wasted opportunity that could have fed him and many others for years. In contrast, Ethan stood amidst a sea of gold, not cold metal, but living, breathing grain that promised life and prosperity. He created jobs for the village, treating his workers with dignity, sharing his success, and building a community of trust. His wealth multiplied naturally, not because he hoarded it, but because he kept it moving, reinvesting in growth and value creation. He became a pillar of the community, understanding that true wealth is measured by how many lives you can uplift and support. Rohan watched from the shadows, bitter and broken, realizing that his brother had built an empire while he had built nothing. James saw the abundance and realized that his safety net had become a prison, keeping him from the very life he desired. The day of reckoning arrived when Harish returned to Sundarpur, ready to see how the brothers had used their allotted destiny. He found Rohan living in ruins, a man who had consumed his future in the present, leaving nothing but ashes behind. Rohan wept and blamed his fate, unable to accept that his poverty was the direct result of his own lack of discipline. Next, he visited James, who proudly dug up the dusty bag of gold, boasting that he had not lost a single coin. Harish looked at him with pity, explaining that money without movement is dead, and a life lived in fear is no life at all. Finally, he arrived at Ethan's estate, which was vibrant with life, overflowing with harvest, and supporting dozens of happy families. Ethan welcomed him with honor, showing not just the gold he had multiplied, but the thriving ecosystem he had created. He returned the original investment with interest, proving that he understood the true purpose of resources is to serve and expand. Harish smiled, seeing that his legacy was safe in the hands of a man who valued hard work over easy pleasure. He gathered the brothers together one last time, using their lives as a living lesson on the consequences of their mindsets. To Rohan, he said that pleasure is a poor master, and those who cannot delay gratification will always end up with nothing. To James, he explained that security is an illusion, and burying your talents out of fear is the greatest tragedy of all. To Ethan, he gave more, for to him who has the wisdom to manage, more will be given to manage. Rohan finally understood that he was not a victim of fate, but a victim of his own choices and lack of vision. James realized that by trying to save his life, he had lost it, letting fear steal the years that could have been great. Ethan, in his grace, did not mock them but offered a helping hand, teaching them that it is never too late to change. They began to work the land together, learning that the true gold was not in the bag, but in the sweat of their brow. Slowly, the barren lands of Rohan and James began to heal, proving that redemption is possible through consistent effort and right action. Happiness returned to Sundarpur, not because of the gold, but because the brothers finally understood the value of purpose and contribution. This story reminds us that time and resources are neutral. It is our mindset that turns them into either blessings or curses. Like Ethan, we must plant seeds today, nurturing our talents and resources with patience, discipline, and a vision for the future. We all stand at the crossroads of Rohan, James, and Ethan every day, deciding how to spend the currency of our lives. Are you spending your time on fleeting pleasures, burying your potential in fear, or investing in yourself to create lasting value? Your destiny is not written in the stars, but in the daily choices you make with the gifts you have been given. Choose the path of responsibility and growth, for that is the only road that leads to true freedom and enduring satisfaction. Do not let fear paralyze you, and do not let comfort distract you. Break through the barriers and let your potential rise. In the end, what matters is not what we started with, but what we leave behind for the generations that follow. Let go of the need for immediate results, trust the process of hard work, and watch your life take flight beautifully. One person's right choices can transform an entire village, proving that our individual success is linked to the well-being of all. Be the spark that ignites hope and progress in your own circle, using your resources to bring light to the world. Remember, the harvest is always plentiful for those who are willing to plow the ground and wait for the rain. Wealth is merely energy waiting to be directed. Direct it wisely and it will serve you. Neglect it and it vanishes. Stand tall in your convictions, knowing that every drop of sweat and every moment of discipline is building your personal empire. Embrace responsibility, practice discipline, and share your abundance. These are the 3 pillars of a life truly well lived. May you find the courage to be like Ethan, turning the raw materials of your life into a masterpiece of success. The sun rises for everyone, but only those who are awake and ready will catch its light and use its power. Your journey begins now. Take your gold, whatever form it takes, and go forth to build a legacy that matters. Thank you for watching True Life Lessons. Subscribe now to continue discovering the wisdom that transforms our lives and our future.